The ultimate football fan is now here.
All the biggest fan channels in one place.
Next night stand.
100% Chelsea.
Arsenal Fan TV.
All about the fans.
Why is he on the fucking pitch? What for what?
Exclusive content only here.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to
The UFF Daily Football Show.
The #1 source for everything going on in the football world, daily.
UFF. Do what you have to do.
Hello and welcome to FanPark Live's head-to-head, which sees UFF Ultimate Football Fan in partnership with History. And this show gets fans to clash on some of the most controversial topics. Now, with the World Cup coming up, History is bringing you 2 weeks of television events, non-stop football documentaries, films starting from the 28th of May. And the details are going to be in the description below, so make sure you check that out. Tonight, I'm joined by Chris and I'm joined by Claude, and we are going to be debating who was the greatest one club man, Totti or Giggs. You're arguing for
Francesco Totti.
Okay, which means you're arguing
Ryan
for
Giggs.
Ryan Giggs. Now, guys, we obviously want your call, so make sure you call in 0203 606 0315. We've also got a poll on the UFF Twitter page. Who was the best one club man, Totti or Giggs? It's received 44 votes so far. You know what? I'm going to go Giggs. I'm going to go Giggs. And we can see that majority of fans agree with that as well. 52% Giggs and 48% Totti. I can see Terry cheering in the back. He's obviously happy because he's a biased Manchester United fan, as we all saw last night. But yeah, as I said, don't forget to join the debate on social media as well. Make sure you call us 0203 606 0315. I'm going to give each of our debaters 2 minutes uninterrupted to argue their case. Who wants to go first?
I don't mind going first.
Okay, we'll let you go first. Right, your 2 minutes begins now, Chris.
If you're asking the question who is the greatest one club man, you've got to look at the guy who's done the most as an individual for the club. So whilst Ryan Giggs spent most of his time, well, not most of the time, all of his years at Manchester United, can we ever say he was their greatest player? Can we ever say that he made the difference in any of their campaigns, whether it be ones when they weren't successful or where they were successful? At no point could you ever say Ryan Giggs was the best Manchester United player. At no point could you say he was the best player in the league. At no point could you say even at their most successful, he was even top 3 players at that club. I can say that about Francesco Totti. I can say Totti without a shadow of a doubt is Roma's greatest ever player. As an individual, he done more for Roma than Ryan Giggs did for Manchester United.
I see.
The stats prove that. And just because Ryan Giggs has more titles, like that goes without question. But no, does he have more titles? Does Man United have more titles?
I see.
So that's in terms of, you know, who's the greatest one club man, is what individual elevated his club to the highest level. And Giggs, listen, Giggs was a very good player. I'm not even going to call him a great player because I don't think he was a great player. He was never world class. He can never ever walk into any of the first 11s of any great size during that period. When I say walk into, I'm talking Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Juventus. Obviously, it was part of the treble-winning Manchester United side. Of course. But I remember in the Champions League final, he wasn't the difference. David Beckham was the difference.
Right.
I remember when Man United won 3 league titles on the bounce. This is the 2006-2009 period where they were probably, in my opinion, that was a better side than the treble-winning side. But I would say Van der Sar was a more influential player. I would say Rio was a more influential player. Vidic, Carrick, Ronaldo, Rooney.
Chris.
I'm ringing off names.
Chris.
That I'd put I'm ringing off names, but you see with Totti, on an international level, when I don't mean international football, I'm talking like European football. Everyone respects Totti as a premier elite talent. Okay. The same can't be said for Ryan Giggs. And we'll get into it later, but I'll go through the awards, the individual accolades.
All right. Okay. Some very interesting points there. Questionable as well, dubious, but interesting.
I'll answer him.
Claude, go for it. 2 minutes.
Oh, one of the greatest wingers in the game. 168 goals in his career.
That's correct.
Fantastic. Scored probably the greatest FA Cup goal in history against my club, unfortunately. Fantastic player. Could play central midfield as well. Very influential in 13 league titles. Played a major part in it. Fantastic player. The only thing he didn't play much for his country, but apart from that, you can't beat. I mean, I think a very talented footballer.
Yeah.
You know, I disagree with. He says that he didn't have big influence. I think he had a major influence on Man United winning the Champions League twice, not once, twice, and 13 league titles, and he had a major influence on that as well. So you can't beat it. For me,
there we go.
It's got to be Ryan Giggs.
Got to be Ryan Giggs, guys. I don't know who you side with. I know there's a guy who has an agenda, it seems, against Ryan Giggs. And some very, very salient points there from Claude as well. We're going to go to some videos from YouTube influencers. But as I said, we want to hear your calls because this is a debate that could go either way. 0203 606 0315. Make sure we see your comments on YouTube as well. But up come the videos and we will hear the rebuttals afterwards.
Cool.
In terms of one club men, there are a few out there. Paul Scholes was always up there for me as being the ultimate one club man because he was such a role model to me, so humble, and yeah. But I think if you talk about the ultimate, we're gonna have to say Ryan Giggs and Totti are the two to choose from, and this is a really tough call. As you know, I'm a United fan, so I'm gonna sway towards Giggsy. But you know what? I have ultimate respect for Totti and what he achieved in the game for Roma as well. Fantastic professional. But I'm gonna go for Giggsy on this one purely because he focused on United, not international football. It made the club his priority.
It is tight. You can't sit there and say Giggsy does not deserve this award. For the reason mostly that I did see more of Giggs than I did Totti, although I did watch a lot of Totti. If I use my head as opposed to my heart, you've got to go with Giggs. The amount of stuff he won in football is ridiculous. He was playing. He scored 21 seasons in a row, 21 consecutive seasons for Man United. That is ridiculous. Absolute whiz kid, blitzing down the wing. One of the crop of the Fergie Man United players, the core, that was just absolutely blinding. You will not get players stay at a team anymore for like their whole career. There's too much money involved, too much politics. But Totti and Giggs, two of the best to do it.
So guys, you heard the arguments there, and it was actually quite intense in here as well. Terry, I'm telling you, he's behind the camera, but he's just as involved in this debate as everybody else is. But I'm going to give each of you a chance to ask the other some questions. Claude, you mentioned that you thought you had to dispute the fact that Chris said that Ryan Giggs wasn't world class.
If you look at it at the time, Man United, he said he couldn't get into a other top side, but Man United at that time were probably the best, one of the best. Probably the best side in Europe.
There we go.
So he got into that team, yeah. So I've got to dispute that about the world class, but everyone's got different definition of world class. But I honestly thought he was world class at the time, you know.
Yeah. So why is it that you say that he wasn't?
Because for me, that's like saying Gary Neville was world class, or Dennis Irwin was world class, or Henning Berg was world class. It's like there are players that will be a mainstay in their side.
Keep it up. I love this energy.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's players that will be in a top team, but that doesn't make him world class. It's because you have continuity in the team. Like he adds to the culture. He knows the club. And don't get me wrong, like Ryan Giggs was a quality player. Like I'm not trying to say that, but not every world class team has a starting 11 of world class players. And he had a great character. Obviously, we know Fergie has his favourites. But again, I can name, whether it be the 98-99 side, I can name 3 players that are more influential during that period. Even the 2008-2009 season, I don't know if I brought up on camera, he won PFA Player of the Year and also won BBC Sports Player of the Year, Sportsman of the Year. He started 12 Premier League games that season.
Okay.
So what does that tell us? It's like, well, don't get me wrong, there's value in longevity in football. If you've been able to play at that level and obviously start at that level for 20 plus years, that has great value. That's immense value. However, that's more to do with the consistency as opposed to the quality of the consistency.
Can I challenge you on the top? Do you think by staying at Roma he didn't really challenge himself to a bigger club?
Of course.
And what I'm trying to say, he stayed at one club, which is great for the loyalty, but could he have not gone to a bigger stage and you could really tell where we can perform on a bigger stage, say like go to Juventus or Real Madrid. He stayed at Roma.
But you say that, but you say he bottled it, but he won a World Cup with Italy.
It's like
no. Let me finish.
With Alan Shearer.
We can't talk about Italy.
Alan Shearer argument.
Okay.
Why he bottled not going to Manchester United, and I thought he settled for his Newcastle rather than really challenging himself and playing for Manchester United.
There's a reason why I bring up
on
Italy.
The big stage.
It is about the club career.
Club.
But the reason I bring up Italy is because we can't question his quality. We know he's capable of playing for a top side and performing, right? And we can't move the goalposts in a sense of when great players move from teams that aren't necessarily the best, we critique them. We'll say, okay, well, you could have stayed there. You should have been the man there. You know, no one says that about Gerrard. We know Gerrard had the quality to play for anyone.
Do we? But anyway, this is not the debate. Sorry, go on.
No. But like, it's like there's value in players, like world-class players, staying at teams that aren't necessarily world-class. Because what it does is when they are successful, it makes it more significant.
Whereas Giggs wasn't the most successful club in British football.
But we know Totti could have played for that.
So he
side.
didn't really have to go any higher. But what I would say that he didn't really challenge himself. And what I'm saying, going to a much bigger club, say like Juventus, or even going abroad, going to Real Madrid, he never really challenged himself.
Right. Do you think we were having this discussion if he had moved to Juventus or Real Madrid?
I'm not sure.
No, but that's my point.
We will never know.
We will never know.
Exactly.
We can only go on the basis of what we have right now.
And what we have right now.
All we have right now is that Ryan Giggs played at a more elite club and sustained that for a very long time.
Okay, so the success that Ryan Giggs has as an individual, you can't say Ryan Giggs has been more successful as an individual because
why can we not?
This is why. Because if we're gonna say he won however many titles, Manchester United won those titles, and even in those title wins, hold on, we're gonna go for Terry Ford. We're gonna go for Terry. And even in those title wins,
make it good.
He was never ever the best player.
Talk to me.
Highest scoring winger in the Premier League on 109 goals, and he has 162 assists as an individual. 162 assists in the Premier League. The nearest guy to him is Cesc Fabregas on about 112.
Okay, so
the likelihood is no one's ever going to break that assist record of Ryan Giggs in the league. And he did that over the course of his career. Okay. So that's an individual achievement. No other winger scored more goals.
I'll tell you what.
He's got more Premier League goals than Didier Drogba.
Let me tell you something else. If you're going to play at a team for 20 plus years, I expect you to be around those numbers. And on top of that, has he even been nominated for a Ballon d'Or ever?
No, he has not.
That's a bias thing.
But I will hold on. I will say
over 20 plus years.
Over 20 years. I'll argue his point with that 20. A lot of players, right? You say a lot of players can't play for 20. A lot of players will dip. Look for example, Wayne Rooney.
So doesn't that
after a certain time?
I understand what you're saying, but don't you think that makes Totti's individual accomplishments even better? The fact that he was able to be recognised across the board, whether it be getting into being nominated for Ballon d'Ors for what he does at Roma. Hold on. Whether it be nominated in UEFA Champions League Teams of the Year on multiple occasions, whether it be winning Serie A. Bearing in mind, Totti's got more goals playing in a league that's tougher defensively. And he wasn't just playing, he wasn't a striker. Are you trying to tell me that Serie A is not the tougher league defensively?
On the back of what you're saying about Totti, I have to say, he scored 290 goals, he got 181 assists, which means he contributed something in every other game across 21 years in Serie A.
And this isn't just playing in one position. Funny enough, when he played left wing for about 2 seasons. This is 97 to 99 when Zeman, new coach, came in. He was playing left wing, right? Same position that Giggs played in. He got 13 to 15 goals in Serie A alone, and he got double figures in assists. So not only can he play left wing, he could also play as a number 10, the classic Italian number 10, and get those numbers. And we talk about, Ryan Giggs, he went from a winger to a centre midfielder. Very impressive. I'm not taking anything away from that. We give Messi all his credit for being like the false number 9, the striker that plays deep, comes in deep and drags defenders. Totti's been doing that well before Messi did it. And he was doing that at an elite level. He was scoring 26 goals in about 33 appearances or 35 appearances. This is a league only. I don't want to compare it over Champions League because Roma Man United, it's not particularly fair. But what I will say is that all of the credit we give Ryan Giggs from going from a flying winger to an intelligent centre midfield player, Totti had all of those qualities since he broke into the team. He was known as a visionary, a creative genius, technically gifted, both-footed, scoring great goals.
I get that. I think the biggest issue with the debate here is that to prove your point about Totti being the better one, I think you're being very dismissive and a little disrespectful of Ryan Giggs' achievements, trying to play him down to elevate your debate, where Claude's doing a better job because he's not slagging off Totti and Giggs still looks
what I also say that Giggs is playing at a club, it's a more pressure playing for a club like Manchester United than it's playing for a club like Roma. It's a bigger pressure.
Why'd you say that? Hold on, let Claude go. Why'd you say that, Claude?
Well, it's all right. You can you can knock 25 goals in for example, if you knock 25 goals for Burnley, don't mean you're going to knock it for Man United. It's a different, it's a more higher pressure.
I understand.
It's a different pressure, eh?
Hello, you're through to FanPark Live. What's your name and what do you have to say?
Yeah, my name's Terry. I'm a Man United fan. I thought I'd call through and just say that Chris, Totti, great player.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, look, Ryan Giggs, he did it all. And I think you've been very dismissive of Ryan Giggs and his achievements. Claude, it's very honourable to see a mutual in the situation, being an Arsenal fan, defending a man that obviously destroyed you guys in the 99 semi-final. And I do think that's Chris's issue here. I still think I think that chest hair is still giving him nightmares.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Terry, for your call. I'm just going to go through some of the comments. One Liverpool fan, he says, this is what modern football has done to fans. They now think that loyalty is bottling it. And I think that's it. We said that Totti bottled it because he stayed and he didn't go to another club. Does he not get credit for staying with his boyhood club and for actually winning a league? Roma weren't the best team in Italy.
For me, I can't say, or I can't even listen to anyone say with a straight face that Ryan Giggs elevated Manchester United to a level that they shouldn't.
But how can you say that though? When he scored the goal that got them to win the FA Cup, how can you say that?
So because he scored one of the greatest goal, by the way. So that is the best FA Cup goal ever. Yeah, right?
Which we agree on. The FA Cup, got them a treble.
Let me finish.
Got them a treble.
No,
which then immortalised the team. How are you going to say that he didn't have a part in that team?
What got them a treble is them being a great team, having the best midfield
of which Giggs was a part.
Okay, so you're strengthening my point. He was a part of greatness.
Okay,
he wasn't the great one out of those players.
Okay,
Roy Keane was a more influential midfielder in that midfield.
Right.
Paul Scholes was a more influential player in that midfield. That same season, do you know who ended up second? Second in the Ballon d'Or voting. And this is before he became biased. This is when there was a Ballon d'Or and it was World Player of the Year. This is when one of them was purely journalist.
All right,
hold on. Do you know who was in that?
I don't know.
David Beckham.
That's brilliant.
Right, and it wasn't purely off. And what do you think is the more valuable thing? Being the best player in the Champions League or scoring one, albeit the best goal in the F Cup ever? Yeah. What do you think has more value?
But I agree. But
there's all this talk about why Giggs isn't the best. Okay, now tell me why Totti is the best one club man.
Okay, because you see Totti. People seem to forget that his reputation and his performances go outside of what he done in Italy. This is a guy that's been. He got the UEFA President's Award. Let me show you some other players that also got that award, because only a handful of those players got that award. Maldini, Beckenbauer, Eusebio, Di Stefano.
Okay,
these are the names that he's been compared to. You're comparing it to Ryan Giggs, who has never won.
I'm just here to ask the question.
No, because you're asking questions. So let me rebuff some of those questions. This guy's won Player of the Month in the Premier League twice in 24 Premier League seasons.
Okay.
Totti has been named Player of the Season in Serie A, playing for not the dominant side 3 times.
Okay.
So because this is a comparison, we're talking about Totti and Giggs, so we have to compare what they've done as an individual. So Totti scored more goals, got more assists, and in terms of individual accolades, far outweighs what Ryan Giggs has done. He's finished top goal scorer in the league before, and he's also redefined a position.
Don't Arsenal fans attack Harry Kane and Tottenham for celebrating individual player awards?
Huh? Arsenal fans are here, but this is a conversation about those Arsenal fans. Those Arsenal fans can talk for themselves. I'm talking for me. I'm talking for me. When you see me tweet or talk about Harry Kane and all of that type of stuff, then that can be valid. But we're talking about Totti and Giggs today.
Okay, so just as an interlude, on the UFF poll,
I love that.
Who was the best one club man? Totti is winning 2,868 votes. Totti 66%, Giggs 34%. So you have made a very good argument.
I don't even want to take credit for it because I feel like it's such an obvious decision.
But it isn't. It isn't obvious. It isn't
because
but there's a lot of people saying, how is that even a question? This guy's got a
he's a reason why Roman badge.
Of
So
course
like,
he's going to say that. I know Giggs won everything. Totti won.
No, he did not win everything.
That's
He was
what
part of a team that won everything.
So he won everything.
So okay, so
this is why your point doesn't make sense.
Let me ask you a question, right? So Gary Neville, let's take it away from there, but the logic will still apply. Gary Neville was also part of all of those teams that won everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Danny Alves hasn't won as many titles as Gary Neville.
A one club man.
No. But we're using the logic of winning, being part of a team that wins many titles, right? That's the discussion, right? That's the point. We know Danny Alves is a far superior right back than Gary Neville.
Okay.
Can we agree that? I don't want people to be disingenuous. No, can we agree that?
I can't agree with you.
Right. So using team titles as evidence of individual brilliance.
Defenders going forward.
Both. However you want to look at it. I
think Neville defending is better. Going forward, I agree with you.
Okay.
I think
but just generally speaking, there's a lot of different examples. It's the same thing with Lampard and Gerrard, right?
Yeah.
There's an argument to be made that Lampard is a better player because Chelsea won X amount of titles, but Gerrard put teams on his back in a way that Lampard never did. So it isn't just about Totti and Giggs. So often we, in an argument to say which one is the better player for his team because that team won as many titles, it's very different. If that player is a talisman, so if Giggs was the main guy, if they looked to him to deliver all of those titles, no player's going to do that all the time. But if he was at the centre of Manchester United's success, when I say the centre, I'm talking in the same way that Ronaldo...
Well, I don't think personally, they didn't have Giggs for long periods of time. I don't think...
What season? Tell me what season...
I thought it was a major part.
Tell me what season. Tell me what season. Because even when they were dominant in the last era, the 2006-2009 era, could you name me... I can name you off the top of my head 5 players that were more influential on that team.
So you're going
right towards the end of his career.
Even before. So even if you're talking about mid-90s to late 90s, even the early 2000s, there was 3 players that were clear.
So let's establish this. To determine who is the best one club man, what you are saying is you need to be the person that drags your team.
Not necessarily drags, because that's an extreme, and that happens already. That's no.
This is exactly what you're saying. No. Because this is the entire basis of. Chris, come on, let's be honest.
Adam, I'm very, very careful with my words.
The reason you're saying Totti is the best or Giggs isn't the best, because you still haven't told me why Totti's the best. You've told me that Giggs is not the best because he wasn't the best player.
This is why Totti's the best, and I want you to take my words verbatim.
Take them.
Totti is the best one club player out of the two because he elevated Roma to a degree that they shouldn't have been able to compete at where they were at the moment.
Right.
If you bear in mind that Roma never had the squads that Man United had.
Okay.
They never had the finances that Man United had.
Right.
They never had a coach even close to Ferguson. Not once.
Yeah.
There was a small period when they had Capello, but even then that was for a very short period of time.
Yeah.
Right? So if you look at the circumstances in the environment that Totti was in and what he was able to do with him and reinvent himself, not twice, but 3 times, scoring more goals, getting more assists.
And just winning one league.
Roma won one league. Roma did. Do you think if Roma was able to buy
he's not under the same sort of pressure that Giggs is under?
What do you think is... What do you think...
Playing for
final points, guys.
Okay, so what do you think... So just... My final point would be linked to that question you just asked, or that point you just made. What do you think you have more pressure being?
At a bigger club, of course you're going to have more pressure.
No. Being at a bigger club as the main guy, or being part of a big club, or carrying a side and a city on your back. What do you think has more pressure?
Claude, final.
Well, I actually think you put the argument that way, but I don't think it is that way. I think you've got to challenge yourself at a bigger club, and then you'll know where you are.
Okay. So let's use this analogy. We'll finish. Let's use this analogy, right? Put it like with the pressure thing, right? What do you think is a bigger challenge? Running to the end of a road with one leg in 9 seconds, right? Or running to the end of that road with 2 legs and running in 8 seconds. What's the bigger achievement?
Okay. Guys, thank you very much. I don't even know if I understand it. Anyway, guys, let us know what you think. Is Totti the greatest one club man? Make sure you comment below. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you both.
No worries.
For I will tell you who's the winner. You know what? You've done well. And I'm going to give it to you because I feel like you really, really pushed for it. I do feel as though if we had someone that really believed that Giggs was the best one club man, I don't feel like he would have won this debate. But I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you. So well done.
Like a hate right now, bro.
Big up you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Big up you. But as I say, guys, if you disagree, make sure you comment. We had a caller called Terry. I think he called in. Thank you very much to the caller.
The neutral United fan.
The neutral United fan. So yeah, guys, we'll be back tomorrow. This is Ultimate Football Fan in partnership with History, and we'll be doing this right the way up until May 28th. Thank you very much for watching.